in the first year of building doors, I realized that this is so much bigger than voiceover. Mm-hmm. It really is about women having the space to be heard.
You're listening to the Voiceover Casting Corner podcast. VCC is brought to you by the Voicecaster, the country's first and oldest voiceover casting house established in 1975. The Voicecaster casts thousands of voices every year across all genres, and we're excited to give you an inside look at the casting process direct from our casting team.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Voiceover Casting Corner. My name is Kelly Mushinsky, and I am the owner and head of casting here at the Voicecaster.
And I'm Kathryn Horan. I'm the senior casting director here at the Voicecaster.
And today we are super excited to have with us Christy Harst, who is a voice actor and the creator of the Building Doors campaign. So we are super excited to chat with her and get to know all about it.
So real quick, just a little background on Christy. Christy Harst is a voiceover actor, former college athlete, and advocate for gender equity in media. Motivated by her own challenges breaking into sports voiceover, she founded Building Doors to empower women in an industry historically dominated by male voices. Christy is a champion for representation and has become a leading voice for gender diversity in the voiceover community. Her voice has been featured as a national brand voice for YouTube TV and John Deere, as well as in a variety of other broadcast and non-broadcast projects. She works out of her Studio Brick studio in Cleveland, Ohio.
Awesome. Woo woo, C-Town in the house. Yes,
right?
yes.
Midwest representing. I grew up in Michigan, the Upper Peninsula. So, you know.
Mean Michigan. You mean Michigan. OH.
I love it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Well, welcome, Christy. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us.
Thank you. And thank you for that introduction, Kathryn. I know that you're the senior casting director, but now you know how we feel.
Right.
When we have to read, now you know how we feel.
I know.
Yeah. There are so many days where I'm like, I am glad that I'm on this side of the glass.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to say those words.
That's right.
I am convinced that so many writers, I mean, props to writers.
You don't read it out loud.
You don't read it out loud.
That part. You don't read it out. There's so many where you're like, dude, you didn't read this out loud at all. There's no possible way.
It looked good on paper, but doesn't sound good when you have to.
Right. It looks pretty. Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's just start with how you got into voiceover. How did you start down that path?
When I was 12 years old, I grew up in a very strict Catholic family. And so we weren't allowed to watch a lot of shows on TV. But one that we was 2020 every Friday night with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters.
Yes.
And for those of your listeners who don't know what 2020 is, or Hugh Downs or Barbara Walters was the first female to ever be a host on a nighttime news show. And she interviewed some of the most powerful and famous people around the world. And she did so in a way that no one else did. And so she's an icon. She's no longer with us, but you know, I grew up watching her. And so I stood up one night after 2020 aired on a Friday night, because that's how we rolled. And I said at 12 to my dad, I'm like, I'm going to kick her out of her chair. You just watch. I'm going to be famous. And he laughed. I grew up in a small rural farming community. And so my mom was looking for ways that I could get these skills that you would need to be on camera. But because of where we lived, there wasn't a lot. Have you guys ever heard of 4-H?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't know what 4-H is, it is a organization that is meant for rural farming kids to show their animals, or there's sewing competitions where kids will sew their own clothes. There's also cooking demonstrations, judging your food, as well as speech competitions. Oh. So my mom entered me in those. And what happened was that I was able to learn how to have on-camera presence, eye contact, how to write a speech, how to have a hook, all that good stuff.
Oh, that was smart.
And right? Smart. Because if you don't have, it depends on what's around you, right? And so we didn't have much around us. So we used what we had around us for me to get the skill set that I wanted to become the next Barbara Walters. Then I went to college and I played college volleyball, and I worked at the radio station. And then I had 4 internships in college, one of which was at MTV. And I majored in broadcast communications. And it was at MTV that I realized I no longer wanted to be the next Barbara Walters. Oh, no. My intern desk was right across or diagonal from the only woman who had a position of power there. Her name is Lauren Lazen. I didn't like how I saw her have to act in order to have authority. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There were certain things said, there were certain behaviors, there were certain things done that I now, look back and say, oh, that's because she's a woman. Right. But then she got labeled as other things. But if she would have been a man in that position, it would have been totally different. And so I had 3 months left to graduate, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. And my parents were like, oh, okay. So I started working in nonprofit and government, and I did a lot of marketing and PR. But I still felt this tug of voiceover, not necessarily even voiceover, but like on camera, and this whole idea of being in front of. And I remember one of my internships, my freshman year in college, was at a classical radio station. And during the interview process, the owner of the station said, hold on, walk with me. And we walked down to the studio, and he had me read something like the Star Spangled Banner or something patriotic. And he goes, you could do voiceover. And I was like, I don't know what voiceover is. I'm supposed to be the next Barbara. Forget you. And so then at my first job out of college, my second job out of college, I would drive to work listening to the radio like, oh God, I can do this so much better than what they're doing it. This is like, it's hurting my feelings. So I made a New Year's resolution to get an agent. I got an agent. And then I got another agent, and I had that agent for 17 years, and I booked national campaigns. I did a ton of on-camera work because when you're 25, you get booked to play a 45-year-old mom. And I did a movie. I did a movie with Sarah Jessica Parker and Dennis Quaid. And I did national television commercials, and it was always like a side gig. Do you know what I mean? It was always fun money in addition to my 9 to 5, because that was secure. That was benefits. That was every 2 weeks. That was guaranteed money until I got fired and then laid off of other jobs. And I will say this to everyone listening. The universe is a thing. And the universe is going to tell you what you need to do. I didn't listen to the universe when I got laid off. I ignored it and kept on trying to do my PR marketing thing. And then I tried again and got fired. And then I was married and I wanted to start a family. And then we looked at the cost of daycare and we were like, oh, what? And that's when I started voiceover full time. And it is very difficult to do voiceover full time when you have 2 small children at home. But it's been 12 years now. My oldest is 12. And I cannot begin to tell you how much I love being my own boss. There's no middle-aged white men telling me no. No, you can't. That doesn't fit within this. It costs too much money. I run the show and I love it.
That's awesome.
I love that. That's incredible. And it's just like, I was telling Kathryn before we started, I was like, this episode is going to be all about girl power, and I love that because I mean, I took over Voicecaster in 2013 and I'm the 3rd owner, first female owner. It's like we are now a woman-owned small business, and I dealt with a lot of that at the beginning. I mean, Kathryn knows, she was there with me during the transition, and it was like there were some clients who did not want to negotiate with me. They wanted, it's like there were a couple times where it's like I'm trying to like get my husband involved because they're not listening to me because I'm a woman, and so it's like it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So yeah. All right. So what are some genres or projects that you have worked on that just light you up, that you love, that you've done?
I don't want to say yet because it hasn't been broadcast, but hopefully everything, because you know how it is.
Oh,
You don't know. So there is a project that should be coming out soon. And for me, what lights me up what really makes me say, wow, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, is when I have fun. And you get in the booth, you go on a Zoom or you get on a call, and it's a live directed session, and everyone is just there to produce the best work. And everyone there is encouraging, let's try this, let's do something different. Oh, can you sound like this? Oh, yes, I can. Let me sound like that. And it's just so fun. Those are the kind of things that I like to do. And also, I will say, I think that people who I do a lot of e-learning. I've done a lot of e-learning, and a lot of people think it's boring. And for me, I absolutely love the challenge of taking something boring and making it sound interesting.
Yeah.
So if you give me a 40-page script and it looks like your cat walked across the keyboard and you pressed print and gave it to me because the medical terminology is so messed up, I like that. Like that to me lights me up. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Let's go.
It's almost like a game.
Yeah, it's like a game to me. It's like a competition. Like, how quickly can I get this terminology down? What kind of rhythm can I associate with the word? And then how can I include it in a sentence to make it sound more interesting, but also make me sound like I'm the expert?
Right?
That's acting, right? That's all. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome.
That passion, that attitude, like that's what makes it worth it. You know, I am constantly telling people, if you are not having fun and finding the fun in this work, do something else. You know, like find something else that lights you up, because it's not worth spending your time in a job that you don't love and have fun with.
And I think too, for voice actors, it's very difficult because we have a very up and down job. The highs are the highest of highs, and the lows tend to be a little bit longer than those highs, and they're super low. And so for me, I've done a mental shift in the last 5 years of where I used to audition, and I used to have fun, I used to do everything that you do on an audition, have fun, but then it would stay with me. Why haven't I gotten an email? Why didn't they pick me? I had 2 coaches listen to that and they told me it was awesome. Why am I not booking? What's happening? And now I've kind of done this mindset shift where even if I feel like that audition was written for me and it's perfect for my tone, it's perfect for who I am, and I do all of those things, I leave it aside. The best way I can describe it is this. When I was doing on-camera work and I was trying to, I was being cast for the 45-year-old mom when I'm 25, there was a guy who invented a paint product. I don't remember what it was, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I go to this place and the owner, the guy, is there interviewing all of these potential actresses to be in the commercial using said paint product. And so I get in there and I'm with 6 other girls and I look around and I'm like, ooh, these girls are really blonde. Like mine is mostly put in. Okay. Mine's mostly like put in, like you can see. But I was looking around. I'm like, these girls are blonde. Like, why am I the only one that looks like this? So then I walk in and he's there with his beautiful wife and their brand new baby. And she's blondie blonde. It doesn't matter if I was Meryl Streep and gave an Oscar-winning performance in that audition. What mattered is he wanted a woman that looked like his wife. When I audition, it doesn't matter how good my audition is. It doesn't matter if it's Oscar-worthy or Emmy-worthy or whatever it is, right? What matters is what that person, the voice seeker, has in their head. And if it doesn't match it, too bad, so sad.
Yep.
So for me, making that mental shift of as long as I'm having fun, as long as I am putting out good work, as long as I am continuing to learn from whatever feedback the coach gives me or one of my coaches gives me or in a workshop, that's all I can do as a VO professional, because what's meant for me will come to me.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what we tell people all the time. All you can do is your best, and, bring yourself to the audition, and everything else is out of your control. So, yeah, I think that's an important realization.
We've seen some pretty wild reasons why they've booked somebody and why they haven't booked somebody. I mean, it's like it was down to, like they narrowed it down, and then finally, somebody higher up comes in and is like, no, she sounds too much like my ex-wife.
See?
So
you
then
see?
it goes
That's
to somebody else.
Nothing you can do about that.
And we've also had it where it's like we've submitted, 10 or 15 voices, And the client is like, they're all good. Let's just go with the first one on the link, alphabetically. So a guy with a name that started with C got the job.
And I think too, there's so many layers of the mental health of a voice actor because we don't know those stories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All we know is that we spend time in the booth working on our craft, putting out the best version of Christy in the script,
Yeah.
putting myself in the script, and then we never hear anything. And so in a lot of ways, that's rejection of who you are.
Yeah.
Because you put Christy, like I put Christy in it. I put my sass or my thought or whatever story I have, and then I don't get the job. And after a while, you feel like you personally are being rejected. So there's all these layers, like we don't hear those stories. We don't know why so-and-so booked. We never hear anything.
Yeah.
And so it can get really, it can
Oh,
get
sure.
dicey. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I'm on the maximum dose of Lexapro. That, I mean, let's be real.
You're not alone.
That in the pandemic,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're not the only one, like it's hard not to take it personally. And it's,
So hard.
We see on this side that it's not personal at all. It's like, it's not personal in any way. Yeah.
Christy, tell us about Building Doors. For those who don't know, who aren't familiar, what is it? What inspired you to start it?
This is my favorite question. Thank you very much for allowing me to come to your space and your community and share this story, because any chance I get to evangelize the mission of Building Doors, I take it, because it truly is a grassroots kind of thing. I am a campaign of one. So I've been doing voiceover work for 20 years, as I mentioned, about 10 or 12 full time. And I wanted to marry my passion for sports as a former college athlete and mom to 2 kids who constantly drain my bank account with their elite travel sports, this, that, blah, 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 shoot me in the face. And I wanted to marry my passion for sports with voiceover. And so I kind of got the bug for promo from Joe Cipriano when I did a workshop of his at an in-person conference. So I had done my promo demo, my network promo demo, loved it. Was like, yeah, I'm totally onto this because I'm a sprinter. I am not a marathon runner. I am all about these, like, let's say 5 words and each word has its own story. Love it. Also, I have a lower tone. So it kind of lends to that kind of read, which was, who doesn't want to do something that comes easy to them and they're passionate about, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to do sports promo. So I got a sports promo done by Harry Dunn. I did a ton of training, workshops. I did out-of-the-box marketing to my favorite teams. I even hired a PR agent to take one of these things that I did and try. And I did. I got into AP News when the Cleveland now Guardians had changed their name from the Indians to the Guardians. So I was doing all of these things. And after 5 years, I was getting really frustrated because I wasn't getting an agent who had access to those opportunities, because there's only a few. You know that, right? There's only not even a handful of agents who represent that kind of work. I couldn't get in because the rosters are oversaturated. I couldn't get stuff on my own from my out-of-box marketing. And I was like, I had enough. And so I was on an online workshop with Ariel Negrin from Atlas. And I read for her. And it was a male-dominated sports promo. And she was like, booked, you're booked. I was like, no, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Let's talk about it. I was so frustrated. I was like, this doesn't make sense. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. And so I listed everything. And she said, Christy, it's not that you're not talented. It's that you're a woman. And that these opportunities don't exist in plethora or in the same amount as they do for men. And she started sharing some stories with me from her end, right? From that side, the agent side. And she goes, it's not for a lack of women trying to create these opportunities for women. It's that when these opportunities climb up the ladder of approval, it gets to someone at the client side that is typically a middle-aged white man who says, no, swap it out for a man. So the next day I woke up and I was very angry. And I thought to myself, I have just wasted 5 years of my life, countless hours, money. For what? Because I'm a woman? What? That's why? And I called a friend. His name is Brandon Miller. He was in a VO accountability group with me. And I was lamenting to him. I was probably cussing a lot too, but I was expressing my anger.
Understandable.
And I said, I have two choices, Brandon. I can either A, forget it and go back to my commercial and e-learning lanes. Just go back. That's successful for me. Or since there's no door for me to knock on, there's no door for me to kick in on all those cliche sayings, I could partner with women around the world and build one. And so Brandon helped me flush out this idea of building doors. And I immediately that day started calling women around the world that I knew, friends of mine, and said, let's revoice scripts originally voiced by men in male-centric genres like sports, tech, auto, alcohol, insurance, and let's show them what we can do. Because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of it. I can't get on these big agents. I can't do I'm done. I'm done. And I didn't care. I didn't care. I didn't care if I ticked people off. I didn't care if people didn't like it. And my original goal was, let's do a handful of posts. Women's History Month is in 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks to pull this together. So I did. I pulled it together in 2 weeks, launched it on March 1st, and it became a thing. And I didn't plan on it becoming a thing, but it became a thing. And what I'm so proud of is that the success of my frustration has allowed me to have face-to-face conversations with major brands like the Cleveland Cavaliers, like the Kansas City Royals, like NASCAR, like Sportsnet, the number one sports broadcast media outlet in Canada, to name a few. And when I spoke with Valvoline, which we did redo an ad for, I spoke directly with the chief marketing officer, who's a woman, and the CEO is a woman, and the CFO is a woman, and I didn't know that. And she said, because of your campaign, we are now going to require our ad agency to bring us an equal number of male and female voices when we audition for our campaigns. Because, Christy, before your campaign, it was always status quo. We didn't really think of voiceover as an opportunity for diversity. We just always went with what we always had. Right. It was more important for us to put female forward-facing in front of the camera. We didn't make any type of connection with the voice. And it was that moment that I realized what I could do with this campaign. I could really make change. And now my goal with every brand that I speak with is to have that same result from Valvoline. And I started to pay attention to Valvoline, and they did start using more women, especially in their social media ads. So that is the kind of change that we can have in this industry by women and like-minded men banding together under a like-minded mission and simply liking, tagging, and sharing these posts that I create, because it brings awareness. And the number one response that I get from all the calls that I make to evangelize this brand is, you're right. I don't hear women during the Super Bowl. I don't hear women when I watch Wimbledon. You're right. I never realized that, Christy. Then a week or two later, I'll get an email, a DM, a text. Christy, I just watched the NCAA final women's volleyball, and there was a man doing the promo. I'm like, I know all about it. All about it. And so I know I'm talking for a long time, but there are certain points that I want to make sure I get across.
That's awesome.
Please.
Which is this. I get a lot of pushback, especially at the beginning, from both men and women, saying that I was brand bashing, saying that I was stealing jobs from men. And that I hear another big thing that I hear from men when I pitch the brand is, Christy, Erin Andrews reports live on the football field. I hear women on the radio all the time. Is this really a problem? Is it really a problem? Yeah, it is a problem, and you're oozing your privilege because it's not a problem to you.
Yeah. Yes.
That's why you don't think it's a problem. And so one of the things that I got flack for was, prove it. Prove that women aren't being heard. Prove it. I had a man tell me live on camera in a Zoom meeting in front of a bunch of peers at this accountability group. He was like, hey, Christy, have you ever thought that maybe you're just not good enough? That's why you're not getting the jobs? I mean, I don't call up Fox and say all of a sudden I want to do animation when I don't do animation. I was like, okay, all right, it's on. So that's when I went in search of data. And there's not a lot of data about voice actors, specifically female to male in male-centric genres. You know, we are a niche industry, and then I'm trying to find data about a niche within a niche.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, if I can't find it and it doesn't exist, I'll just go get it myself. So I started to put polls and surveys up. The first one I did was just for the voiceover community. I had about 200 voice actors reply. And it turned out to be pretty equal in terms of gender. It was like 43% male and the rest were women. So it wasn't terribly lopsided in terms of gender.
Mm-hmm.
And what I discovered from that poll was that 73% of male voice actors claim that they receive 5+ auditions for male-dominated sports promo in a year. That leaves 27% of their female counterparts to claim the same. That's not equality. That's disparity. That's a huge 73 to 27.
Yeah.
Don't think so. So that's point number one that I've proven now. Like, okay. So then I decided to watch the AFC championship game, Bills versus Chiefs. I grabbed a notebook, I sat on my couch, and I literally wrote down every promo and every commercial. I wrote down if it was voiced by a man, a woman, or both, if it featured both. And then I wrote down what the brand was. Then after the game, I dissected it per genre. So I took all the auto ads, put it here. I put all the food ads, all the, alcohol ads, all the, everything. And then I did the numbers, and 77% of all of the ads and promos were voiced by men. And when you broke it down per male-dominated genre, the highest percentage voiced by women was something like 13%. And I posted the results of that. And then I got flack because people were saying, oh, you didn't do this nationwide. You didn't account for regionalism. And at first I got defensive, like, I'm one person. I live in Cleveland. I'm not paying for all of those streaming services. So I reached out to a couple people in the voiceover community that I knew supported Building Doors. And I got one volunteer in California, one in Atlanta, and then me in Ohio. And we did the Super Bowl. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for these stats?
I'm excited for this. Yeah.
85% of all of the ads and promos were voiced by men in the last Super Bowl. That's disgusting, considering that 83% of women globally hold the purchasing power in their homes. It doesn't make sense.
No.
85% of all of the ads in the PGA Masters broadcast were voiced by men. Tell me again how Building Doors is useless. Tell me again how my push for more gender equality in voiceover is a waste of time, is male bashing, is brand bashing. Please, please come to me with the data that supports that opinion. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful or high and mighty. I'm saying it, please do, because from what I'm collecting, right, as a party of one with a couple volunteers, is showing that there is a need for this mission.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And it's striking a chord with women in our industry. It's striking a chord with producers, with audio engineers. The first 2 weeks of the campaign, one of the women in the UK who was voicing for us sent me a message, and she goes, I walked into a session at a studio today and they were talking about Building Doors.
That's huge.
It's huge. And it goes to show that you can either sit around and complain. And I don't mean this about voiceover. I mean about anything in your life.
Yeah.
Anything. Or you can do something about it. My intention was not to start something, My intention was to say, look, we can do this. But it turned into something more. And what I believe is that the universe, I'm bringing it back. The universe provided me an opportunity to do something that would not only benefit me, but benefit an entire industry and an entire group of people. And I'm privileged to be able to do it.
Oh, that's awesome. And thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Being that courageous and taking those steps.
And it goes beyond just our industry too, It
does.
It's so much more than that, Being a woman has its challenges in every aspect. You're doing something huge on such a greater level than just in voiceover, right?
It shows what a difference just one person can make.
Yes.
I realized in the first year of building doors and the momentum that we started to gain and the messages that I would receive from women all around the world telling me their stories, I realized that this is so much bigger than voiceover. It really is about women having the space to be heard.
Yes.
Women just want an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We're not trying to steal jobs away from men. We're not trying to take anything from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I wanted to really understand this knee-jerk reaction from both men and women of you're taking away, you're brand bashing, all of these things, you're not good enough. And so I reached out to a Columbia professor of gender equity studies in the workplace. And she was amazing. She said, Christy, when they do that, imagine a pie. And there's this pie of equality. And right now, men have a whole big bunch of that pie. And white men have the biggest. And then it goes, in other ways for other communities. And she said, they think you're trying to take away their slice. She goes, try and shift your messaging so that it frames it so you're not taking away. You just want a slice that's already existing. Because right now you don't have a slice.
Yeah.
And she really made me think about how I can change my messaging within the campaign, how I can approach brands differently for them to understand what this mission truly is about, because it's not about taking away from anyone. It's about allowing women to have their voices heard literally and figuratively. It's sharing stories so that men and other groups can be educated about what's truly happening, not only in VO, but what happens in VO also happens to women in the insurance industry, in medical fields, in auto. There's nothing unique, right, about gender inequality. And so if we can shine a light and if we can be an example of what you can do in an industry, that's amazing.
From your vantage point, what are some steps that casting directors, producers, and studios can take to help build more doors?
I think it's super important to, when they can, if they have the power to say, why don't we hear some women too? Or if a casting comes through that says men only, if that person who's ever in charge can talk to that client and say, hey, how about I just throw in like 3 females just for the heck of it? Just listen, you never know. You never know. Because from what I see and what I hear is that when women start to stand up for themselves and women start to ask if they can get in, sometimes they do. And when they do, they win. I have received more than a handful of stories of women who said because of the campaign, it inspired them to reach out when a casting call said men only. Hey, I think my voice print fits on this. Would you mind if I just threw my hat in the ring? Yeah, sure, go ahead. And then they do, and then they book it.
Just got goosebumps. I love that. I love that.
More than a handful of women have reached out to me saying that because of the campaign, they had the chutzpah to go do this, and then they end up booking it. What that says to me is that just like Valvoline was constantly just thinking status quo, this is what we've always done, that maybe, just maybe, if there's a little push from the powers that be, the casting director, the casting house, to say, hey, why don't we just throw some women in there? See, you never know. You never know until you hear it.
Yeah.
And that's what we're asking for. So I think that the steps that people can take are especially women, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to create your own reels and show up on social media the way you want to be seen for what genres you want to voice in, even if it's male dominated or even if it's something traditionally women don't do. I think that casting directors who have direct relationships with voice seekers could encourage more to have women heard and throw some women in there. And even if you don't ask, I've heard of casting directors that literally would just throw 2 or 3 in there.
I was just gonna say I've done that where it's like, oh, but you need to hear these couple, and it's like, we promise our client a certain number, so it's like, okay, I'm gonna give you the 15 men you wanted, but I'm also gonna throw these 3 women in there, so you have 18 options to choose from. It's like, yeah.
There's a talent agency in the UK that I spoke with, and after our conversation the next day, they did just that. They threw in a bunch of women. In addition to what the client had asked for men, and they continue to do that.
Yeah.
Those kind of things don't take a lot, right? They don't take much.
No, not
Why
at all.
not?
Yeah. How can actors themselves be contributing even more to have that open and accessible industry? Is there something that you advise them to do? Is it those cold calls? Is it reaching out? Is it asking their agents like, "Hey, I see that this is a male read. Can I read on that?" What are some tips that you have for all the women out there who want to do this?
I firmly believe from all the stories that have been sent to me, all the women that I speak to, that women are seeking permission. They
Mhm.
just want permission
Yeah.
to go do something. I didn't ask permission to get pissed off and do a handful of posts because I was done, right?
Mhm.
And look
Yeah.
where it has led.
Mm-hmm.
I think well-intended men need to open those doors for women and invite them in. I think if there is no door and there is no invitation, women need to stand firm in their authenticity. They need to show up on social media because that now is like, the
Mm-hmm.
way people go and investigate you.
Yeah.
You need to show up intentionally and authentically because in the advent of AI, and I don't want this to become an AI discussion, but in the advent of AI, when
Mhm.
people go to your LinkedIn, when they go to Instagram, they want to see who they're hiring and what you're about.
Yes.
And if you want to do male dominated sports promo, you better be showing up online, either
Mm-hmm.
showing how you do it or showing how you could do it.
Mhm.
And I will say this, I booked a job off of a pay to play. We get on the live session, we do the session, everything's great, blase woo woo. And at the end, the guy goes, "Hey, Christy, I went to your LinkedIn page. What's this building windows thing?" And it was at that point that I had an opportunity to share what I was doing.
Mhm.
And not only this guy, the producer, but the creative director and the audio engineer listened to everything. And they said, "We hired the right person for this job."
That's awesome.
But
Love
why?
that.
Why? But why? Because I showed up authentically. I showed up consistently on
Mhm.
social media. And something, even though he got the name wrong, it doesn't matter. It intrigued him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to share more of myself. I am more memorable to them
Mm-hmm.
because of
Mhm.
my cause, because of what I'm passionate about, beyond the actual voice I did.
Right.
And they will
Yeah.
remember me for
Mhm.
future gigs.
Yeah.
I think that voice actors right now are struggling with how to show up authentically online and still be in their minds what's professional. And what I would encourage voice actors to do is just show up as yourself. As scary as that is, it's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Did that answer the question?
Oh, definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
That was cool.
And then some, which is
That was cool.
fantastic. So just along those same lines, how has that affected your auditions? Have you noticed your auditions changing or just your approach in terms of getting your campaign out there? But yeah, has your performance changed? Has your acting, your work changed?
You're the first person to ever ask me this. And I'm glad you did because it's something that I've actually thought about. My auditions have been so much easier since I started this campaign. And you may think, if you're listening to this as an actor, you may think, well, that doesn't, I don't get that. Why is it easier? When I went to VoiceOver Atlanta this past year, I constantly heard from almost every panel, ooh, that Cleveland came out panel, from every panel that they want imperfection.
Mhm.
They want the breath, the click. They want a noise, a sigh. It shouldn't be super
Mhm.
polished and clean. Show up as yourself. I constantly heard that. That's all I took away from View Atlanta this past year. And I thought to myself, here I am preaching to all these women to show up and be authentic. I need to do that in my auditions. And so what I've noticed is that I will start my auditions and I'll listen back and I'll be like, "Oh, that's old Christy. That's
Mm.
old Christy. That's
Mhm.
that's put on Christy."
Yeah.
And then I go through the Kalmison method. I go through all these other different methods that I've learned.
Mhm.
And then instead of trying to meet a voice spec of tone, I just am myself.
Mhm.
I don't try to raise the pitch because I think that's what they want, because they want younger. I just am myself. And it's
Mhm.
so hard because you really have to be comfortable with yourself to
Yeah.
get there. If you're not comfortable with yourself, you're not gonna show up on the mic as yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I am so grateful to the campaign, and I'm so grateful to how it's grown, and I'm so grateful to the people who follow us and send me these messages, because what it has done for me is validate my
Mhm.
passion, validate my frustration, and validate me. And
Mhm.
so now I get behind the mic and I'm able to be more authentically me because I feel like I'm accepted. I
Yeah.
feel like who I show up every day, people like. I mean,
Yes.
some people don't like it, but Um, so I think it has drastically changed the way I approach scripts
Mhm.
and the way I am empathetic to the character or to the story.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because bottom line is, you can connect to everybody has a story that can connect to just about any spec, right?
Mhm.
And instead of looking at it as, I have to be exactly that spec. No,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be Christy, and I'm gonna pick a story from my life, and if they don't like it, then okay, they like redheads, they don't like blondes. Fine.
Mhm. Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's what it boils down to, and that's fine. Walk away.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's so hard, though.
It is. It
Exactly.
is.
So hard.
We can sit here and just say, "Yep, just do the audition, walk away, forget about it," but
When your bank account's crying and you need,
That's true too. I
that's
need to put
hard.
you got a mortgage
Yeah.
in
It's hard. Yeah.
daycare.
And I think that's why a lot of voice actors have multiple streams of income,
Mhm.
because it isn't
Yep.
as easy as some of these online coaches in these reels claim to earn 6 figures doing voiceover. Those of us who are in it know that it's a lot harder than they make it seem.
Yes.
Exactly. So, do you have any tools or practices that kind of help you balance that business grind and the creative joy?
No.
Fair
I'm
enough.
not gonna lie, like, I don't
Honestly,
think
I
I
love
should
it.
lie and be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I can do it all." Absolutely not. I'm exhausted most days.
Mhm.
I am a very creative person, and I'm
Mhm.
so grateful that the campaign allows me to have these creative outlets of creating these reels and videos and these mini projects and partnering with this organization. And then I like Tennis in the Land, which is the US Open Women's Qualifier for WTA here in Cleveland. They asked me to come speak. I
Oh,
spoke at the Cavs Women History Month. Right. So, like I love all that, right? I
Yeah.
love all of it. We have we have a podcast. Building Doors has a podcast.
mhm.
We initially featured door builders to share their story so that these women could use that as a tool to market themselves to their
That's
potential
fun.
clients. But
Yeah.
now we're shifting and we're going to start telling stories of women and men who work towards gender equality or have had experiences, not just in voiceover, because as I mentioned, gender equality is something so much bigger than voiceover, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So we're going to be sharing other people's stories. But I will say that I can't balance it all. I have 2 young children, ages 10 and 12. Our 10-year-old is on the spectrum, goes to therapy twice a month. They both are in this sport, and that sport. And they're both on IEPs. And my husband works a traditional 9 to 5 and travels. He's away this whole week. Um, I don't do it well. I missed soccer practice this week. I totally forgot about it. He didn't go. And last night I went to go pick him up from flag football practice. I was at the wrong place. I was sitting there for 10 minutes looking on my phone and I was in the wrong parking lot. So no, I don't do it. And I'm not going to say that I can. I fail miserably. I'm a campaign of one. I'm the social media director. I am everything, right? I get some help
Oh,
here and there, but
mhm.
um, I don't get paid for it, right? I have
Mhm.
zero money.
Mhm.
My voiceover career funds whatever needs to be done for this campaign. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay.
Absolutely. It's
And it's great
100% okay.
when you're
It's
doing
like,
something you're passionate about.
yeah.
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 And I was just thinking, I was lamenting to my friend on the way to her salon appointment this morning. I was like, "Girl, I am failing. I forgot to pick up Brady at the right place. He missed practice. Now I can't find his darn soccer jersey. What's going on?" And then I realized But I am so happy every day doing what I love doing.
And you're human. It's like, I love hearing that because it's like, we can all be like, oh yeah, so I do this and I do that. And then I meditate for 20 minutes and I do that. And it's like sure. Okay, these are all ideals. I would love to do all of that too, but I'm exactly like you, where it's like, some days I'm just keeping my head above water. And you know what?
Exactly.
I like my job. I love my family. I love, it's like, I love everything that I'm doing. Some days it's survival mode, and there's nothing wrong with that.
When I think back on my traditional 9-to-5 career, I'm just so glad I don't report to a middle-aged white man anymore. I'm so glad I don't have to drive to work. I'm so glad I don't have to put up with, sassy Barbara in accounting. I'm just so glad. I am so happy with my life in those terms, right?
Yes.
So happy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that it makes the hard days a little less hard, just a little bit easier. Yeah. What advice would you give to a new voice actor who feels like the doors are locked? They can't get in. Do you have advice?
Give up now. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. I just, it's not, no. To new voice actors, buckle up. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yes.
And you should have multiple streams of income. Don't give up your day job. Do voiceover part-time. Put in the work to network and use LinkedIn as a tool. I get asked to speak at like the Cleveland School of the Arts and at this college and at this women's group. And I always say that, and even at Tennis in the Land, there was like these recent college grads that were like, how can I set myself apart? How can I, when I'm applying for a job, blah, 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 blah. And I say LinkedIn, there are very few young people on LinkedIn. There are very few young people maximizing the power of this amazing tool and using it to the benefit to get hired. I can name 2 off the top of my head that are currently in school at the university I went to. And they are going to, by far, they are going to get a job before those that don't. Now, maybe LinkedIn isn't your jam. That's fine. But there are tools that you can start to use now that your peers are not, that will set you apart. Go interview or go ask some VO veterans what they wish they knew back then that they know now, and take that advice and create it to benefit you, like put your own twist on it. Because all of us could give advice on what to do. I would say practice patience. Know that you're in it for a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're passionate and you really love it, and this is what the universe is telling you to do, it'll never feel like work. Cliche.
But it's true.
That's
true.
Great. And I love that you said that too, because it really is. It's a different journey for everybody. You can ask 100 voice actors how they got to where they are, and every single path is different. There is no one way to a successful voiceover career. There just isn't. All right, should we do our speed round, Kathryn?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right.
So what's one thing you can't live without that's in your booth?
I'm going to say a microphone. Yeah, microphone.
Perfect. It is kind of hard to do it without a microphone, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Favorite food?
Macaroni and cheese, but I had to stop eating dairy because of a health scare like 5 years ago, and I miss it so much. Homemade mac and cheese, none of the craft stuff.
Oh, I was going to say,
mac and cheese
really
with the
have
crunchy
dairy
top.
in it?
Yeah, right. It's not real cheese. I'm talking about the one where you use like 3 different cheeses and heavy cream, and it has the crunchy stuff on. Like you bake it, and then it has the corners are the best. That kind. Yeah, I miss it so much.
No, that's what I want to have for dinner.
The future of VO is blank.
Is female.
Yes. I love that. We've gotten that answer a few times on our podcast, and I love it.
And here's the thing, I'm not saying it, I'm saying it because of the data I've collected. Yep. I'm not saying it as a personal opinion. I'm saying when you look at the data, there is nowhere else to go but female. And I know this is lightning round, but I will say this to back it up. I was able to create a relationship on LinkedIn with a gentleman who does nothing but produce videos for the construction trades, blue collar. And he uses me quite a bit. And here's why. This is what he said. They always use men. They always have. And right now, to be a woman means that people who pay for advertising, they want something different because they've always used the same Ford truck, the same deep, the same grizzle, the same, all of that stuff, right? Well, they want to do something different, and that genre doesn't want to go so different. But they are starting to use women because it's grabbing people's attention. When I say the future of VO is female, I'm saying it from a perspective of data and experience that we're about to be trending. It's too far this way. It needs to come back. It needs to come back more center.
I love that. What is your favorite audition fail story? Do you have one?
Listen, I wouldn't say it's an audition fail, but back when you didn't really do a ton of work in your home studio, you just did auditions from there, but then you would go to a physical studio. So I was the official e-learning voice for Delta Faucet's high-end line of products. Okay. So I did this for like 15 years. And I remember I went in, and at the end of this educational e-learning thing, I had to ask people questions, right? So this is the question, A, B, or C, that kind of whole thing. And then at the end, depending on how the person scored, there was one of two messages. I had to say, congratulations, you have passed the blank blank assessment. You can now move on to blank blank blank. Or the second one was, I'm sorry, you didn't pass. You need to go back and check. And so just for fun, because I knew these people, like I said, I did it for 15 years. There was one time where I was like, I'm sorry, you're a big fat loser. You didn't pass the quiz. You need to go back to all the red marks and do it again. Something to that effect. Well, it just so happens that the audio engineer forgot to cut it.
Oh, no.
And sent it to Delta. So the next time I went in, well, my fault. The next time I went in, they told me about it. They're like, Christy, the client heard what you said. I'm like, that's not my fault. It's your fault. They're like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, what happened? They laughed. I'm like, oh, thank God. Thank God they laughed, right?
Yeah.
But it just goes to show, when you're having fun and, you've got a 60-page script and that's the end and you just want to, and it wasn't my fault they left it in, right? The audio engineer accidentally put it in. So the client, a nice little chuckle. So that's fine. But it was kind of embarrassing because it's like, whoa, they heard the real deal. Right. They heard what we were saying. Yeah.
But you were having fun doing your job. It's like
right. Like
having fun.
And sometimes those e-learning things are written in such a way that you've got, because they'll be like, say it with more empathy that you're sorry that they didn't pass the quiz. All right, okay, yeah.
Maybe they should have tried harder.
I told you the answer in paragraph 2, section 1. How do you not know?
You did not pass. Suck less next time.
Yes.
All right. What is one word you want people to associate with you?
That's hard. When I was speaking at Tennis in the Land during the Q&A session, a woman asked me what I was most proud of in my career. And I thought about it, and I remember turning to one of the other panelists and I said, the easy answer is to say XYZ job or this gig or that gig, right? But I think the harder answer is to label this current phase of my life that I'm in, which, by the way, is perimenopause. But other than that label,
there's your one word.
There's my one word, perimenopause. I said, I think I'm most proud of the audacity.
Oh, I like that.
I said, I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to be pompous. I'm not trying to be arrogant. But there comes a certain point in a woman's life that they just don't care anymore. There's this TikTok lady who's the creator of the I Don't Care Club. and she's all about perimenopause and menopause and what happens. And I think that there's something to be said for a woman getting to a certain point in their life, and whether that be through age or whether that be through experience, that it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you don't like what I'm doing. I don't care if it rubs you the wrong way. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be me 100%. I'm going to fight for what I want to fight for. I'm going to be passionate, and I'm going to be loud, and I'm going to be too much, and I'm going to be this, and I'm going to be that, because now is the time for all those things. I would want people to associate Christy Harst with audaciousness, unapologetic audacity, and not from an egotistical sense, but from one that can be used as an example so that they can be that too.
I love that.
That's awesome.
You're getting me all teary-eyed over here. Because we're all women. We've been through it, you know, and it's incredible.
There's too much. It's too much to be a woman. It's too much to be a woman. You can't walk at night. You can't go to the gym by yourself. You can't. There's just so much about being a woman that, for whatever reason, has been heightened to the point in these recent times. More women need to be audacious. More women need to find what is authentically them and show up that consistently. And more women need to support one another in doing that. It's a lot easier to show up that way when you have the support, when there's other people cheering you on. And if you are an introvert, you don't have to be like Christy Harst. You could send a text message to a group of your 3 best friends and say, today, this is how we're going to show up. Or, I saw this post that you just did. You were really vulnerable. I just want to cheer you on. Because men aren't going to do that for us.
I love that. So if anybody wants to reach out to you or get involved with Building Doors, how can they reach you, or how can they learn more about the Building Doors campaign as well?
The most important part is to like, tag, and share. Like, tag, and share. Like, tag, and share. Here's what happens when you like a post of ours, when you tag the brand that we're rereading for, and you share it to your network. That post and that woman's voice and that woman's face gets put into front of millions of more eyes and ears than otherwise would have been. And that is what is going to cause change. So the first thing you can do is to like, tag, and share our content. You can follow us at Building Doors VO on just about any social media network. If you want to, dive deeper, you can go to our website, which is buildingdoorsvo.com. You can listen to our podcast and like and share that as well. There are people who have come to me throughout the last 2 years and have said, I want to support you. I want to give you money. Listen, I don't like taking money off the backs of voice actors because there's already a GoFundMe for everything and everybody. However, I realize that is how people sometimes want to, and that's fine. So there's a link on our website called Buy Me a Coffee. What I like about Buy Me a Coffee is it's a very non-icky way to donate to someone or something. You can give $4. You can give $5. You can give $1. I've had people give $1. That's great. Whatever you donate through Buy Me a Coffee, it gets reinstituted or gets put back into the campaign. I'll use it to help pay for the website, help pay for the Canva that I used, help pay for the StreamYard, help pay for, all these things that normally come out of my pocket. We also have swag. We also have like t-shirts and stuff. I don't get any money off of that, really. I get like $1 per sweatshirt. But you're branding, you're wearing our mission, and people will ask you about it. There's a story of a door builder who was wearing her sweatshirt with our logo that says Building Doors, and it says, I build doors, ask me how. And this little old man in the post office tapped her on the shoulder and said, I'm curious, what kind of doors do you build? And she was like, I build doors of equality. And then it started this conversation.
That's awesome.
Oh, I
right?
love
And it started this conversation. And
All
then
right,
this old woman,
going to your
this old guy, as you know, probably went to his wife at lunch and told Barbara all about it. And then Barbara told her bridge club. And then, that's how it starts.
Yes.
So any type of way you can follow us in those ways is greatly appreciated.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Thank you so much, Christy. Thank you for all of this and for sharing all of this with us. And we'll put links to make sure that people can get involved. This is such an amazing campaign, and any way we can get the word out and help you out, we're on board.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
Catch a new Voiceover Casting Corner episode every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. Be sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and follow us at The Voicecaster on social media. Thanks for listening.